Hello, everyone. Welcome in today to our topic of downsizing in San Diego, finding the right buyer as a seller. If you're downsizing and finding a place to buy, so let's get started. I am Santiago here with Pemberley Realty. Roxanne will be joining us shortly, so she will be chiming in soon. Hopefully, last week you guys had a good one. I wasn't here; I was on vacation, so had a pretty good trip. But I'm glad to be back in action here in the stream yards. So let's get right into it. So first things first, what is downsizing? Pretty straightforward. Is moving from a bigger home to a much smaller one. So why would someone downsize? The most common reasons why would be, you know, too big of a house, kids moved out, you know, you might have two-story house and, you know, you want to downsize to a one-story house or you want to move into a smaller home. That's basically, the main focus on what downsizing is. So why would some people want to downsize? Just like I mentioned, those things are people want to move into a smaller home or uh, or just change their home. So, what are some ideal downsizing locations here in San Diego? Personally, I would say downtown has amazing, condos. Even here in North Park, there's all over San Diego. There's a lot of beautiful, smaller places that you can downsize to, and I would, really recommend to everyone out there that if you're thinking of downsizing to make that move, since it's can help you a lot, in financing. Let's say you're still paying that mortgage on your bigger home, it can help you with that. There's also less maintenance costs that you have to spend on the home. If it is a condo, there might be an HOA fee that you didn't have before. But like I said, you don't have to be maintaining outside of your building, stuff like that. So downsizing can be a huge benefit to anyone out there that is, maybe going through some financial hardship with their current home, or they just want to, you know, go into a small home and cash some money out of that sale and purchase for something that's a lot more inexpensive. So that's one of the benefits that downsizing can bring to you. So there's definitely a lot more things. So, also lower taxes. That's also something good that that you can benefit from if you're downsizing. I mean, I want to share a little story on some of our clients that we've had here that have downsized. Uh, it can also be from a apartment or condo into a retirement home. That can also be a downsizing. So we had a client that lived in a house that was already too big for him. Um, he lived by himself, didn't have much, going on. So he was able to cash out on that, on the on the sale of the home, and moved into a retirement home and basically set himself up for the retirement home. It doesn't have to be a retirement home, it can be something smaller, but since he was already older and lived by himself, the retirement home really benefited him on, and he was able to use those proceeds from the sale of his condo to pay off basically, you know, a very long time at the retirement home. So that could be another benefit. And it can go either way. It can also be to a smaller place that you're looking into. Um, you know, the list goes on. It doesn't even have to be a condo. It could be just a smaller house. Plenty of options out there. So, what are some things that would make you think on downsizing? Is you know, you either live by yourself, the house is too big, don't wanna don't want to deal with the maintenance. Say you have a big yard, that can also be an issue. Any repairs that have to be taken care of that are big could also, signal on wanting to downsize. So there's a million other things to that we can talk about in downsizing. Just, you know, not having to worry about a lot of repairs and things like that is very helpful. So, what are some ideal properties? I kind of already touched base on that, on those ideal properties that you can be looking into, condos, maybe a townhome, something like that. There's lots of locations you can move to, maybe even a more desirable place since it's a smaller home. You have places in downtown, here on our office here as well, smaller homes in the University Heights, North Park area. There's uh, there's definitely, if you want to do up north, there's, a lot nicer areas. Like we have our office up in Del Mar, um, Carmel Valley, all that good stuff. There's always plenty of downsizing possibilities out there. Like I was looking at yesterday, surprisingly, I mean, if you're already older, 55 plus community could be a good downsizing since it's a lot cheaper than, a regular condo. I was looking, and here, pretty close to our office, it was a one bedroom, one bath, and the price on it was like $270,000. Where usually a home of that range goes for around almost like 400,000. So that itself could be a great downsizing opportunity for you to move into, uh, which will save you a lot of money, and it would help you with your financing in Texas. So Roxanne is joining in here. I'll go ahead and add her. There you go. How you doing, Roxanne? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can I can certainly hear you. How's it
Perfect.
going?
Good, good, good. I already did an introduction. I did say that you were gonna chime in a little bit later today, but just talking about downsizing here in San Diego, on the many different opportunities that there are with 55 plus. I mean, could be a assisted living or just a smaller, let's say condo or townhome that could help you out. So
Yeah, and we have worked with so many of those clients
yeah,
in making those types of moves, right? With
yeah.
downsizing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's one that I can think of, and he was living in a 4,600 square foot house, 2 stories,
Uh-huh.
um, and and we sold the house, helped him move into a 1 story, 1,500 square foot house, and he basically, when I visited him after everything was moved
Yeah.
and he was settled. He was saying that he is so happy about the move,
Yeah.
and that it was the best decision that he's made in a lot of years.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of trying to, I don't know if there's some other things that you can point out, some of the benefits on the downsizing, with taxes and cost of, just living can go so much lower when you're downsizing, right?
Maybe
Maybe.
that's a hard one. That's a hard one because, and I think that's one of the reasons why many homeowners are basically hesitant about making
Yeah.
that move and making uh, that decision, because if you've been in your home for a lot of years,
Yeah.
then and you have a sizable amount of equity, then you're looking at some significant amount of capital gains tax that you
Yeah.
have to pay to make
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Uh, on property taxes, I don't think that property taxes are not as big of an obstacle.
Yeah.
Um, if you are downsizing, especially into a home that's cheaper in price, then at least you can move your Prop 13 over along with the house. So, like for example, you bought a house for $200,000. Your property tax base is based on $200,000.
Yeah.
Now the house is worth million, but your property tax is still based on that 200,000. Now you sell that house for a million. You turn around and you buy, something for 900,000. You can move that tax base of $200,000 over and save about $7,000 per year in taxes, in property taxes.
Yeah.
But if you bought a house for 200,000, and let's say if you're a single person and you sell the house for a million, now you're looking at $800,000 of gain, of which only $250,000 of it is tax free, and the rest of it you have to pay taxes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
but
it's a tricky thing to look into. And then, I mean, if you're moving into like a smaller place, a condo, there might be some HOA fees that are, that you also gotta consider, right?
right, but at the same time, if you're looking at like in the previous example that we gave, if you're looking at a house that's 4,600 square feet, maybe possibly it has a pool, possibly it's on the canyon, your insurance costs are higher, your maintenance costs are higher, and you put it all together,
Yeah.
then it may actually make sense to still uh, sell that big house, get rid of all the maintenance costs that are associated with a house like that,
Yeah.
and let's say capital gains, right? Yeah, you have to pay some capital gains, but in the long run, you may actually end up saving some money.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Now, you also did mention um, some other choices, right? You
Yeah.
mentioned 55 plus communities, which basically means that you're getting into a community that's going to be significantly less expensive to purchase into.
Hmm.
You mentioned retirement communities. You mentioned, depending on where the person is in terms of age and in terms of ability,
Yeah.
then things could also be very different, and
Yeah.
of course your budget, right?
Correct.
One of my good friends, they sold their house and moved into this retirement community called
Okay.
which is in La Jolla, and it's a very uh, it's a very reputable retirement community. It's expensive to get into, and it's not. It's supposed to be very nice with lots of amenities. You basically have to think of it as, as living in a hotel
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was looking too also, which was surprising yesterday. We had an interested buyer in looking at homes, and right here in this area here by our office in Hillcrest, and surprisingly, a one bedroom, one bath in one of these 55 plus communities was like $270,000, when usually you're looking at that around like the 400s, almost $500,000 mark for just not in a 55 plus. So I mean that could also be a huge, you know, advantage for someone that's looking to downsize, having that cheaper so they can help out with their maybe put a little bit more, put the money on the capital gains that they have to pay, later on. So
And downsizing could also mean that, like, for example, I'll give you another example. A couple of years ago, I had a very dear client of mine, and he was an entrepreneur,
yeah.
and so he was working for himself, and unfortunately he had not taken the time to put money away into retirement, And
Yeah.
so he was looking into retiring, and he didn't really have any funds to retire on.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what he actually ended up doing was, he was originally from Kentucky, so he actually looked into moving to Kentucky. He sold the place at the time. He sold his place for 600,000,
Yeah.
and moved to Kentucky and bought a house for $150,000.
Yeah.
And with the other with the proceeds, the leftover money, he put into investments, and basically lived off of those investments for,
Yeah.
you know, the rest of the time.
Yeah. And then, I mean, also have a question because everyone downsizing is always like, oh, going into a smaller home, cheaper home. Can you downsize into maybe a more expensive home, even though it's smaller? Like, let's say you move into a nice condo building in downtown. Uh, what are the benefits on that if you're downsizing with something that might be even a little bit more expensive than what you're currently paying?
That's a very good question. That's a
Yeah.
very good question. And sometimes, uh, let's look at that scenario of, moving from a big house into a condo, because you may be you may be looking into retirement, and you may want to travel. You may not want to maintain a big house, right? So downsizing could be moving into a luxury condo that might be even more expensive than the house that you let go of.
Yeah.
And if you have the means to do so, then you can still move your tax base over. Like, for example, you sell the house for, let's say, $3 million, and then you turn around and you buy a condo for $4 million. Now there's a difference of $1 million in between the two, right?
Hmm.
So, and the tax base for the $3 million house that you sold, let's say you bought that initially for $1 million. So
Yeah.
you move that tax base of $1 million over to the next house, next condo,
Okay.
where you sold it. The base was 3 million,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So you move the base of 3 million over here at the cost of only $1 million
Yeah.
of property taxes, right? And then the difference is another million. So you start paying the property tax difference on only on that $1 million,
I see.
right? Not on the whole four
Okay.
million
Yeah.
dollars.
Okay. So even that is a very good option to do if you have the means for it, to get a maybe a mortgage and can definitely be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of like the big question I had because sometimes a lot of people think downsizing is buying something cheaper and you know smaller. It can be smaller, but it can also be more expensive too. So
And,
that's
and
also a good point.
yeah, you're right. But yeah, no, you can move both ways. You can move down or you can move up, but there's still some tax savings, at least on the property taxes side of things.
Yeah.
And of course, lifestyle matters as well. So, it's not all about capital gains. Lifestyle also dictates a lot of decisions people make. So that's the other side that you can play with and move forward with.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Do you have any other things that you want to maybe give people about downsizing or here in San
Well,
Diego?
what I want to make sure that we give people is we are realtors here, and we love to work with our clientele. As a matter of fact, yesterday I had a very good call with somebody that had met me on Instagram, and she said that she feels like she knows me, and so we had a great conversation, and I was able to help her. So on that note, let me go ahead and give a little bit of our spiel. If you are thinking of buying or selling, and if you have any questions regarding the process, there's my phone number, and there is also Santiago's phone number.
There it is.
And as I said before, we love to hang out on Instagram as well. There's our Instagram handle, or you can also give us a follow on Facebook or send us a messenger note. We're happy to help. There's our website, so you can definitely reach us on our website. And of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube, we would appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up and like our page. And what else do they
Subscribe.
have to do?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. We really appreciate it. Well, it's by your subscriptions and by your support that we can continue to get the showings for our videos, and we really appreciate that you are following us. And on that note, thank you so much for joining us today, and make it a great day.
Bye, everyone. See you guys on the next one.